Good afternoon, it's Dave at All Things Important Reviews. Please smash that like button, please smash the subscribe button for more awesome watch content. I've got with me today a brand new Casio G-Shock G-Steel model, which is the GST-B400D, meaning bracelet, 1AER. 1A is the standard model in the Casio naming of things. ER means European market. This is, or it's being branded as, by Casio, as the thinnest like G-Steel ever, and it probably is. Some G-Shocks, for those who don't know, G-Shocks have basically, they can withstand extreme pressure, and they're designed to be able to be, put through every single element and come out on top. And these G-Steels actually have a carbon core technology inside of them, which means they put basically wedges of this like carbon fibre to give it the strength without adding too much weight. And basically, I love G-Shocks because they are outstanding value for what you pay for them. And this one actually retails, I believe it's around £399 GBP, but I actually paid less than 300 quid off it. So you can get them in decent deals, obviously, especially around Black Friday and all that stuff, but you can get really decent deals from. So, yeah, the reason I love them is because you get the amazing functionality that you get with all G-Shocks, which is as standard 200 meter water resist, so you can take it diving generally. You get, world time, light, stopwatch, alarm, loads of different modes. Half of them I don't use. You get tough solar, which is brilliant. Anyone who's sick of changing batteries every 2 to 3 years, with these solar batteries, they'll last, I believe, around 10 years. So that this will charge off the light, off sunlight, or fluorescent light, or non-fluorescent light. So you can even just charge it off a desk lamp at home if you wanted to. But I just normally just leave it in a well-lit room. If it's not got enough charge, then what I will do is I will just leave it on the, windowsill. And by the end of the day, it'll generally be high. This one is, as I said, the 1A model, meaning like the standard, the first one, which they've made this in loads of different colours. They've made it in a more legible one. They've gone for a super stealthy look with this, which will not be for everyone, but I do quite like it. But they've gone for a super stealthy look with just a beautiful silver for the bracelet and bezel, and then just like a dark grey for everything else on the dial. And I think it does kind of work. It does work. But it is more difficult, obviously, to see the time, and they've chosen to do that. They've chosen it on purpose. So there are far more legible models of this watch, such as the one with the green bezel, which looks stunning, but green doesn't go with as many outfits if you're bothered about that type of thing. And they've made a kind of grenade dial one, in a black grenade dial one with a bit of blue on the dial. That is my favourite. That's for the Japanese market, which I'll be ordering. And they've made a red one, and they've made a blue and black, all black bodied one. So you can get it in loads of different colours. Probably there'll be even more colours coming out. They've also made one with a black rubber band, which will be super comfy. Although this is obviously on the bracelet because I'm a bracelet guy. Let's start with the sizing, because this has been marketed as the thinnest G-Shock, or the thinnest steel G-Shock around. And I can confirm, because I've measured it prior to this video, that the thickness from the bottom to the top of the bezel is, on my model, 13mm, but the thickness from the middle of there to the crystal is about 12.7mm. That is definitely thinner than this one. Okay, this one is more like 15 and a bit mil thick, with about 13 and a bit mil thick in the center. But so it is a thin one. The The lug to lug is about 46.5 mil. Okay, that's again small. But the end link to end link there is about 54.5, so that is actually quite big. The overall diameter is about 49.5 mil. So again, it's by far a small watch, but as far as G-Shocks go, it is small, at least the G-Steels. I've had every G Steel, or at least I've had every of the modern, the B100, I've had that is absolutely huge. That's about 58 mil by about 14 and a bit mil, 15 mil thick. That is huge. That is too big. The B200 is a much better size. Okay, I like the B200, but it has a more kind of a spaceshipy look to the dial, which is not for everyone again. But that one is more. That one's only about 14.3 mil thick, and that one is not as big, but it's still bigger than this one. And then you've got the B300, which is about 15.5 mil thick and is big still. And then you've got this one, the B400. So I've had at most G-Shocks, and I can tell you that this one is the best. It's the best sizing and the best comfort fitting because of that, because it's smaller and lighter. It's only about 160 grams. Now, I've actually kept every single link in, and I'll talk about that in a bit. So for sizing wise, it is a brilliant size. Maybe they could have improved this even more by not having the male end links so big, if you will. You know, having that smaller, say up to there, but maybe that would affect the overall feel of the watch. I don't know. But so yeah, so the sizing is excellent. The sizing is superior to most G Steels, and it's a step in the right direction to make it a bit slimmer. I mean, they could have even made it thinner by making it 12 mil, but to get their figures for strength and durability with this carbon car thing, I think there's a limitation obviously in how thin they can go. So sizing is excellent. The bezel, okay, the bezel, they've gone with a kind of like, it is brushed, but it is somewhat reflective. That is maybe a tiny bit of a downside, because I've noticed at night time, you know, when you've got just a strong light on, it is pretty reflective, that dial, compared to this one, which has a patterned bezel, which doesn't reflect anywhere near as much. I would have preferred it with a patterned bezel. Maybe they'll bring that out. Again, you can get other models with a patterned bezel. You can get other colour variants of this model with a different style of bezel that won't be as reflective. So that's just pointing that out there. The dial is obviously stealthy looking. It's like a dark grey sunburst. It does look beautiful, but legibility from an ergonomics perspective is poor. Obviously it is, but I think it looks pretty stunning. The light, I'll just show you the light as well. The light does light up the sub-dials. You can see there the sub-dials are lighting up. By the way, you can put on the digital time in that sub-dial, but it is a negative sub-dial. So at night it's not going to be super legible unless you click light. Now I believe it'll have the function where, I don't know, I'll double check, where if you turn it on, if you put your wrist, it understands where you're flicking your wrist and it will turn on the light. I think it will have that function, because most G-Shocks do. And again, if you like that function, if you glance at the time, it will turn the light on and make it easier to read. I have tried the lume. I'll just show it you now, right this second. One sec. I'll just show you the lume. You can see, quite poor really, moderately. I mean, a moderate amount of lume just on the hands. So unfortunately the, you know, outer indices are not lumed, which is poor in my opinion. They should have lumed that. I would love to see them make a model that has just white indices and like this one, making it super legible, but no biggie. Like I said, the other ones are definitely more legible. Now, so the dial again is controversial because they've purposely made it difficult to see as a style thing. If you're not like that, get the other models. Get the green one or get the Japanese market one, because that has white hands and white indices. So, the functionalities, I'm not going to show you all the modes. Oh, I should note, just whilst we're on now, obviously it's ani-digital. You actually do have the Bluetooth functionality. So that means that if you want to, you can hook it up to your phone, okay? And you can basically synchronize it with the phone's time, which will obviously be synchronized to the internet time. So if you want to, you can get perfect time all year round if you want to. However, Bluetooth burns battery. And even though I've got the Samsung Galaxy S21 Ultra with a massive battery, personally, I never have Bluetooth on. I just don't have it on. So it would only be beneficial to me if I turned it on once a week or once a month to synchronize with the time. That's why, as I've mentioned in other videos, I prefer to have multiband, because the multiband receiver will pick up the radio atomic time from Anthorn in England, about, I don't know how many miles away it is from me. I think about 80 miles away from me or 100 miles away from me. And it will pick up the time perfectly all year round. This watch doesn't have it. In fact, the B100, 200, 300 and now 400 do not have multiband. Now, if you're in Thailand where there's no radio signal, you won't care about that, and you'll probably prefer to have the Bluetooth functionality because they don't have atomic clocks in that fashion over there. But they do in England and Germany and China and Japan and I believe America. So if you're in one of them countries, you probably would prefer multiband. But they don't. They've put Bluetooth on, which is fine, but I'm just pointing that out there. It's not got radio atomic timekeeping. You have to synchronize it to your phone if you want that. Okay, so the sizing is excellent. The dial is controversial. It's not as ergonomic in terms of telling the time, but it does look good, in my opinion. The presentation of the watch overall is very good. The bezel is obviously a fixed, screwed down bezel. It is reflective. It's not patterned, unfortunately. I prefer patterned personally. The modes are all standard. You get all your standard modes, 200 meter water resist, again a standard, so you can go diving with this no problem. Let's talk about, so the case back has obviously all the CE marking and all that stuff. It's a stainless steel screw down case back with this kind of plastic cut carbon core material, which is like Casio's patented watch technology. Now let's talk about the bracelet. So the bracelet is obviously a brushed stainless steel with polished outers. It's a push pin, but it's a special push pin method for taking the screws out. An excellent way, actually, a beautiful way. I might even show it you with a standard deployment clasp. Okay, with push button opening, works perfectly fine. And it is actually, the clasp is exactly the same pretty much as this one, or maybe a little bit smaller, but I've had this for 3 years or 2.5 years, and it works absolutely fine. And it is pressed metal, but does it really matter when it works so well? And if anything happened to this bracelet, you can always replace it for cheap anyway. Generally, you could do pre-COVID anyway on these models. So you've got your 4 micro adjusts, push button deployment, a fully solid stainless steel bracelet. These are solid links. They're not too thick either. The links are a nice size. And the way you remove them links, I might even show you now whilst I'm on the video. So what you do is, all you do, right? All you do, you just basically put the pin into the hole, you press it, and you've just released it. You've just released it that easily. So there's actually a spring bar essentially in here. That pin is spring loaded, if you will. And to put it back in, there you go. Clip back in. So you just basically push into there. You don't slam, you just push and release the spring bar, and then twist it off basically. And it does it for both sides. And then to put it back on, you obviously just push the top of the spring bar down and slot the link over it, and it clips in perfectly. It's a brilliant method. On the old way of doing it, on this model, this is about a 3-year-old model, you had to physically, let me try and show you this. Yeah, it had a spring bar again in it, but you had to physically get, you know, a link tool in there to push it out, which was more messy. This is a much nicer way of doing it. I think this is also on the B100. In fact, I think it's on the B100, 200 and 300 bracelets. I think it's on all of them, this method. I could be wrong, but I think it is. So yeah, so the bracelet, okay, and the clasp are excellent. I mean, yeah, I'd like to see a slightly thicker swing arms, but I'm not going to make a big thing of it. I'll show it on my wrist now. This is actually with all the links in. Or I have not removed any links. I have moved them around though, because what I do is I make the 6 o'clock side shorter. So this is the 6 o'clock side. Can you see how I make it shorter? Because I don't like the watch to flick away from my wrist. I like to keep it in the centre as best as possible. So I make the 6 o'clock side shorter. Absolutely beautiful. Again, legibility is not amazing, but we've already talked about that. When I pick up the other colours, I'll show them you anyway to show how better the other ones are for legibility. Super comfortable. There's nothing that catches you on the bracelet. It is nice and comfortable. It tapers down from the top. So this watch, it is a winner. If you can look past the stealthy dial, it is a winner, definitely. It's the best fitting Gshock. It will appeal to more people in terms of the G-Steel model, sorry. Because some of the plastic models, like the Mudmasters, are 20mm thick. They are super big, 60mm diameter, super big, massive chunky things. But some of the older G-Steel models from a few years ago, they were huge. They were massive faces, too big, too bulky, 15, 16mm thick. They've come down a lot now. This is a much better size and it will appeal to more people. If you've got a 6-inch wrist, you can pull it off. I've got 7.5-inch, but if you've got a 6-inch wrist, you can still pull it off. If you feel as though the bracelet is too heavy, I mean, it doesn't feel too heavy overall. It's only 160 grams, which is a great sweet spot kind of feel. Maybe 150 would be better, or 145, 150, but still, if you take some links out, maybe you get to that. But I don't take them out because I like them quite loose. I mean, I could actually just take one out and then move these pins down if I wanted to. Like, because it's on the last one, I could take one out and move it to there, possibly. I might do that to see if it feels any different, but this feels fine for me. I'm going to pick up the other colours because I think they look great. These watches are a great holiday watch. They're a great all-round daily desk diver, if you will, because obviously it's got the water resist to go with it. It's an all-round watch. You can do anything with it: running, skiing, gym, diving, swimming, what the hell you want with it. It'll hopefully stand the test of time. I'm really glad Casio have gone down this route of a bit thinner, because they were getting too big about 3 or 4 years ago. They were too big. They've brought it down, much better size. Hopefully we'll see some better colour variants as well. I'm going to put the link in the description box below for the different sizes. It's just Casio's website. I got this, I believe, off eBay in a deal, but you can get them on Amazon in deals. You can get them all off the internet, obviously. So, you know, I wouldn't pay top whack for. I mean, yeah, it's worth it. It's worth 400 quid, but I wouldn't pay that off Casio's website. I'd buy it off a grey market or a different seller like Amazon. So yeah, I mean, as well, the timekeeping, it's got a quartz in there essentially. So the timekeeping, if you don't synchronize it like once a week or once a month, the timekeeping is going to be about plus 15 seconds a month, not a day, a month, because it's quartz, yeah? You might even get better than that. You might get 5 seconds a month, something really good. But ultimately, if you keep the Bluetooth on, you're getting 100% function. You're getting 100% perfect timekeeping, and I don't think you can go wrong with it. Make a great Christmas present. Looks the part, feels beautiful, feels lighter, definitely. I'll just put this one on. Definitely feels lighter than this. Is the GST-W330D. Definitely feels lighter, even though it probably doesn't look that much smaller. It definitely does feel lighter. This is more like 180 odd grams. This one has a chunkier bracelet, but it's not solid stainless steel. But this one has thinner bracelet, but it is solid. So I think this one's coming to Thailand with me, because I'm going to Thailand in February. I'm thinking as well, because my original intention, obviously, with All Things Important reviews, was to make it not just about watches, but about tech and about, you know, gadgets and software. But I don't know whether to keep this as a watch only channel and separate off when I get more time next year into doing other stuff, or whether I should keep it all on one channel. I can't decide yet, because I want to review Windows 11, I want to review this new Samsung, I want to review a few other things that are not watches. I'm deciding whether to keep it all on one channel or split it off. I don't know yet. I might, for the time being, just keep it all on one channel. So yeah, so it's been Dave. This is a GST-B400D-1A. Thanks for checking my review out. I hope you enjoyed it. Loads more reviews coming up. Loads more Chinese watches coming over. Have a great day. Peace.